It's mailbag time here on NFL Daily. Mitchell Renz ready to answer all of your questions. Make sure that you go ahead and use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get featured. This first one's coming in from the past master. Mitch, do you like where the Vikings are going with the signing of their new GM and head coach? I actually do like the move of Mensa a lot because he's an analytical guy, and I think it's only a matter of time before we start looking at more analytics and start looking at, okay, even though I wasn't born into an NFL family, though I'm not a boomer at 65 years old, I do believe people who look at analytics and can watch tape and can actually do more research online are better off. Like, I get it. My dad, let's say he coaches the NFL or has been a coach in the NFL. I know that I can operate a computer and operate a lot more stuff on today's world than my dad can. From a head coaching standpoint, I also like the move of Kevin O'Connell a lot. Why? A lot of the guys that Sean McVay's had in the past, I think we'd all agree, they've turned out pretty well. Let's go to Angel. What up, man? Do you think Kirk is going to get traded after next year? So you're talking about Kirk Cousins. The hard thing to figure out is this. Like, Kirk's one of these quarterbacks where nobody's going to consider Kirk Cousins a top 10 quarterback. But I also don't think he's not outside of the top 15, right? He's like in this quarterback purgatory where you got a lot of these dudes like a Derek Carr, maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo. You could throw him in there, Ryan Tannehill, where like they're good, but you don't know if they're ever going to be able to take you to the promised land. And Kirk is just one of these dudes where he's making $45 million. Nobody wants to pay Kirk Cousins $45 million, and he doesn't want to take a pay cut. So could he get traded? Maybe, but I know if I was an NFL team, I wouldn't want to trade for Kirk Cousins. Let's go to Breeze. What do you think about Jermaine Johnson III? I think he's a sleeper in this year's draft. He was a sleeper. Jermaine Johnson about a month ago was going at like 30s range in some mocks. Heck, there were some people that weren't putting him in the first round. Now, when you see Mel Kiper putting Jermaine Johnson at number 13, I don't know if you could be considered a sleeper anymore. He's a good player. He's long, he's lanky, he's a good edge rusher. But if you start going in top 15 of mocks, the whole sleeper category, it's gone and out the window. Let's go to Boomer 24/7. Titans need a wide receiver 3, maybe even a slot. Would Jahan Dotson be a good pick? I like the Jahan Dotson pick a lot. In fact, I think that's who Mel ended up going with in his mock draft at pick number 26. But let's face it, you got Julio Jones, you got A.J. Brown right now. The Tennessee Titans really struggled when either of those two guys weren't in the lineup. If you have those two and then you throw Dotson in the slot because Chester Rogers is a free agent, that's a really, really dynamic duo. Though, I would be interested to see if they could bring in somebody like a Treylon Burks or a bigger receiver who can also block a little bit because that offense is still a run-first offense. One of the quarterbacks that's really hard to put your finger on, and yep, that's really weird to say out loud, is Carson Wentz. And where do y'all think that Wentz is going to end up playing next season? There's been a lot of reports out there that the Colts are already looking to move on or looking to upgrade at the quarterback position. Wentz had 27 touchdowns, 7 picks last season. It just couldn't beat the Jags to get into the playoffs. So where do you guys think Wentz is going to end up playing next year? Let's go to Sean Kennedy. Will my Raiders trade back out of the first round this season? We always talk about people that trade up. We always talk about people that trade down. The Raiders at pick number 22, I don't see them trading out of this year's first round for a few reasons. One, the NFL draft's in Las Vegas. If I was Josh McDaniels, if I was Dave Ziegler, I would want to make a pick in my first year in Las Vegas. And especially if there's a guy on the board. Like, the Raiders have a lot of needs. Like, I get the fact that the Raiders made the playoffs last season, and one of the biggest reasons why I don't want them to give Derek Carr all this money is because they have a lot of holes, whether that's defensive tackle, whether that's linebacker, wide receiver, offensive or interior offensive line. They have a lot of needs. So that's not really a team that needs to trade out of the first round. Let's go to Taylor Holland. What's up, brother? If both fully healthy, would you rather have Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey for the Bills? And if they had either of them, would they have beat the Chiefs guaranteed last year? I'm going to say in terms of beating the Chiefs last year guaranteed, no, because all you needed was just not having Leslie Frazier as your DC. It's just the defensive mind at that end of that game makes no sense to me, but also might have been the most entertaining game I have ever seen in my entire life. If both were fully healthy, I would rather have Saquon Barkley at $7.2 million than Christian McCaffrey at his overall value. I think McCaffrey is an incredible player, but I really actually believe if Barkley was fully healthy, he could be the best running back in the National Football League. Let's go to Big Chungus. Who's most likely to win the NFC South? This is actually a really good question because it's a wide open division right now. You got Atlanta with Matt Ryan. You have Carolina with Sam Darnold. You got Tampa Bay with Blaine Gabbert. You have New Orleans with Taysom Hill. Like, I don't have a good answer for you right now. However, I do believe the team that is the most complete as it stands right now might honestly be still, oh my God, you can't say the Falcons. I can't go with Atlanta. I don't know if I want to go with New Orleans, though they probably have the best defense. If Tampa Bay can get a middle-of-the-road quarterback, I still think they have a lot of really good players around them. So for that, I might still go with Tampa Bay, but I don't feel great about it. It's a good question. Now, you guys let me know who's going to win the NFC South down in the comments section. So St. Patrick's Day, y'all, it's right around the corner, and I always end up figuring out at the very last minute, what am I going to wear? Why? I want to wear something green. I don't have anything green in my closet. But if you want to make sure that you're repping your favorite NFL team 365 days out of the year, wear it during St. Patty's Day. It's an awesome, awesome get-up. So whether you need a t-shirt, long sleeve, there's hooded sweatshirts, some dope socks as well for all 32 teams. We got you covered. If you want to wear your favorite person or favorite player, we got different shirt ideas as well. Just go to the link that you see below, chatsports.com/NFL Green. If you plan on going to a parade, if you plan on going to a party, if you plan on getting schmacked, you might as well get schmacked in your favorite NFL team gear. Chatsports.com/NFL Green is how you get set up. This one's coming in from Jorginho. You can't say Jameis Winston because everyone says Winston. Who will be the Saints quarterback next season? All right, so I can't say Winston, though I think it's Winston. I'll go with Teddy Bridgewater. Let's say they bring back Teddy, 2 gloves. He was 5-0 as a starter in New Orleans. Ended up, Breeze got back healthy. He was the new starter. Teddy left. Look for a cheaper quarterback that you know can fit in your system. I'll go with Teddy Bridgewater since I can't say Jameis Winston. To make sure you guys are staying up to date on the best NFL coverage on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and make sure that those notifications are turned on. So if there's a big-time trade, if there's a big-time signing, if something crazy happens in the college football world, like let's say there's a big-time move by the Michigan Wolverines that nobody can find on Twitter, we're going to have you covered here at Chat Sports. So hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. That way you don't miss a thing. We're also an interactive YouTube channel, so I do want to give a special shout-out to Juan Hernandez, Meme, or Travis Brule. Much love to all of you, and we always appreciate, and we see that you're always watching. So please tell your friends to also subscribe to NFL Daily and to Chat Sports. Let's go to the next question coming in here. It's from Niels. How will KC deal with Mathieu, and will they cut Clark? Well, the Honey Badger is a free agent, so if they want to bring him back, they can. And in terms of Frank Clark, do you think they're going to cut Frank Clark, Harry? I'm going to ask Harrison. Frank Clark, Harrison's giving me the thumbs up that Frank Clark's going to be a goner. I mean, he's just way too inconsistent for what the type of money that they were paying him. So, Niels, there you go. There's your answer on that. We got Pug Life 48, and then we'll get to a super chat, which I believe is from the Passmaster. What position is taking the most the first round of the draft? So which position gets taken the most in the first round of the NFL draft? I'll say offensive tackle because I could see 5 offensive tackles going in the first round. Quarterback's always going to be thrown out there. Wide receiver, we could see 6 wide receivers go. You know what? I'm gonna go wide receiver. That's going to be my answer. I could see 6 receivers going in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft. The Passmaster, appreciate the super chat, my dog. We got Mitch. Does the Atlanta Falcons go get help for Matty Ice, Juju, or Allen Robinson maybe? Or does Matty Ice go to another team? Great work as always, Chat Sports. I mean, I will say, in this division, if you believe that you can win the division, and right now the best quarterback in this division is, in fact, Matt Ryan, why not go out and get a little bit aggressive? Here's the other issue, though. Matt Ryan is definitely at the end of his rope, right? Like, we know that. If you want to go ahead and get Juju as another solid receiver next to Kyle Pitts, go ahead and do it. Allen Robinson could be another really interesting player to throw in there as well. For the Falcons, though, you're more than likely going to have to trade away Calvin Ridley. Let's say you get a second, third-round pick for him. Then you can also invest that into a receiver. But if you were to pick between Robinson or Juju, I'll take Allen Robinson every single day of the week. Let's go to Tom Downey's actual account. In Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues, what rook would you pick first? So I honestly don't like these questions this time of the year for the simple fact of landing spot is huge, right? Like the landing spot of a player like an Isaiah Spiller, of Kenneth Walker, whoever the top receiver is, Drake London or whatnot, it is so detrimental to like their overall positioning and whatnot. However, I don't see any of the running backs going in round one. For a wide receiver that I could see going in the best position, I might just say it's a receiver that goes a little bit later on. So somebody like a Jameson Williams, somebody like a Jahan Dotson, because if one of those guys end up going to the Green Bay Packers or something like that at pick 28, that's going to have an extreme amount of value. If you need a running back, though, I'll say Isaiah Spiller. If you need a wide receiver and you want somebody reliable that I think could actually go a little bit later, I'll say Chris Olave. All right, y'all, it's your turn to take a guess here. Where will OBJ sign this offseason? He's one of the top wide receivers in free agency. I have him ranked at number 4. Unfortunately, though, for him, he did tear his ACL in the Super Bowl. I almost said national championship game. Where is my head at? So where will OBJ sign this offseason? Next question's coming in here from Greg Williams. Should the Ravens try to get Brandon Scherff? Yes, the Baltimore Ravens should absolutely try to get Brandon Scherff. Scherff is the top offensive guard in this year's free agency class. You can insert him in there at the right guard position. He can pass block. He's an absolute mauler in the running game. And for the Baltimore Ravens, you're obviously going to try to continue to run the ball, and you got to protect Lamar Jackson. The offensive line was a major eyesore. So if Scherff's available, you get him for $14, $15 million a year. Yes, Baltimore, you should try to go ahead and absolutely do it. Let's go to K. Kitch. What do you see being the most likely moves by the Texans, and do you think they can and will trade the 3rd overall pick down? If I was Houston, I would try to get as many draft picks as humanly possible this year, which means trading Laramie Tunsil. It means trading Brandon Cooks. It means trading away Deshaun Watson. It means just trading away a lot of these players. I mean, last season, Houston, I believe, was the oldest team in the NFL, which is not what you want considering of how bad they were. The Texans, they're not going to win now, so just get as many picks as humanly possible, which means if you can trade out of the 3rd overall pick and get a few extras, honestly, yeah, the amount of holes that this team has, you have to do it, dude. All right, y'all, if I didn't get to your question, if I missed it, I'm sorry. We got over 300 people watching right now. Remember, you can always hit me up on Instagram. You can hit me up on Twitter. I'm at MitchellRenz365. Let's go to Beggar52. Thoughts on the Seahawks bringing back Jadeveon Clowney? I think it actually makes a lot of sense. If I was Clowney and I'd sit here and say, okay, which team do I actually think I was the most successful with recently? It would actually probably be Seattle. He would fit in that defense well. I know a lot of the people for the Seahawks would love him to have him back. It's just, what does Clowney want to take? Because if you ask Clowney, he still probably thinks he's a top 5, top 10 overall edge rusher or defensive end. He's a good player. He actually think he might be a little bit underrated to the national public because he doesn't get a lot of sacks, but he's been really good against the run. But Clowney going to Seattle, I think it actually does make a lot of sense. Here would be my question, and I'm glad producer Jeff's throwing this up on screen. Is Russell Wilson going to be on the Seahawks next year? Because if Wilson's going to be on the Seahawks next year, then you continue to try to win. You bring in somebody like a Jadeveon Clowney. If Wilson's not going to be on the team, then I say you go to a rebuild. You try to stack up your salary cap. You try to stack up some of those draft picks, which you do not have, and go ahead. So if you're typing your Y for yes, bring on some big players. Because as long as Russ is under center in Seattle, that team has a chance to win. If he's not, then my answer would be, well, you go ahead, you fold up shop, and hope for a better future. Final question here. It's a super chat coming up from Taylor Holland. Best value free agent signing of the last 5 years that made the biggest impact and the most overplayed and bust of the last 5 years. Yikes. So the best value free agent signing of the last 5 years, dude, I'd have to really sit down. And most overpaid and bust of the last 5 years, well, the name that comes to my mind right away from a Raiders standpoint is Trent Brown, because they made him the highest paid tackle. They put him on the right side, essentially paid him $76,000 per snap. So that's an absolute bust. In terms of the most overpaid, can anybody think of a super overpaid or underpaid free agent? That's the thing. Zeke wasn't that. Let me come back to me. Message me on Instagram, Taylor. I'll try to give you a better answer. But going back to the past 5 years is never an easy thing to do.